My sister, 26 female, dated an abusive ex who hated dogs, and she had a 4-year-old German Shepherd mix named Ripon. He basically told her she had to give up her dog or he would leave. So she gave up Ripon when they were moving in together. Originally to my mom, but Ripon did not get along with all of her cats. So she then asked me to take in Ripon. I had a very senior dog lady at the time that we knew Ripon got along with, so I agreed. I never assumed it was temporary, and I doubt she thought so either because she ended up marrying her ex. About 2 years after they married her ex, predictably because he was a jerk, cheated on her, and they divorced. It's been 4 years since she gave me Ripon and she came to ask me to return him. I was pretty much shocked and told her I assumed I had permanently adopted Ripon, but she said she had intended to take him back once she convinced her ex to let her take Ripon back, but he never warmed up to the idea. But she said now that they have broken up, Ripon is her dog again. I probably would have given him back after a year, but 4? Ripon is family now and my daughter would be devastated if he just left. I told her 4 years is way too long for her to expect me to return a dog. She rehomed to her, especially because she never said it was temporary. She got mad and started ranting about all the other things her ex took from her and said she's alone now because of him and Ripon was the only thing left. I told her she should get another dog, but Ripon has been in my family too long to consider rehoming him again. In fact, the breeder who she got Ripon from is a family friend. I will be happy to add her on his list once there is more puppies. She yelled at me for thinking Ripon is replaceable. But he is. She gave him up before, right? And called our mom to tell her to convince me to give her back my dog. My mom called me saying she agrees that it's been too long for her to realistically ask for her dog back, but that I have my daughter and husband and she's alone, so she could use her old dog back as support. Am I in the wrong here? Okay, she wants the dog back after 4 years? Wow, she's out of her mind. She can get a new dog. You're not in the wrong. You've given Ripon a loving home for 4 years. Once she decided to marry her ex, she effectively made giving Ripon away a permanent decision. Who's been paying for Ripon's vet appointments, food, medicines, and so on? She should just consider getting another dog. You're not in the wrong. She gave Ripon away. After 4 years, Ripon's home is with you. You are his family now, not her. You have spent time, money, and effort into loving and caring for Ripon, while she abandoned him for a man. If she's serious, then she should reimburse you for all the food, vet bills, medications for the last 4 years, plus a boarding fee. It's $25 to $50 per night in my area. So she owes you $36,000 to $73,000 for boarding alone. Otherwise, the dog is your property. If you haven't already done so, get the dog microchip with your information or update the registration. Make a binder/folder with the vet bills showing you are the owner just in case police become involved. This happened pre-COVID, but I saw the same lady today. She didn't recognize me and made me think of this again. I, 50-ish male, got off work and needed to get gas. I pulled into one of those big box membership places with a fuel island. 12 two-sided bums that can serve 24 at a time. They were busy. On the first side, all the lines had at least one car in line behind the current car being fueled. And most of them too. I didn't want to get in one of those and drove to the other side to see if there was a shorter line. And I found one. There was a Jeep facing the other direction to leave with no one behind him. Since my gas cap is on the driver's side, this becomes important later. I would have to back my car into place as he drove off. And he was getting in and starting his engine. As he drove off, I backed in. A 40-year-old female fueling on the other side of this pump runs up to my car screeching, "You can't park here! You can't park here!" I stepped out of my car and said, "Why, is the pump broken?" "No, I'm saving his spot in line." I told her he left, you can't save a spot. Credit card swipe, authorized. He didn't know what side his gas cap is on, and is turning around. I'm saving his spot. Well, you failed, and you don't save spots in line. By this time, the Jeep is pulling up behind me, 20 male, honking his horn. I'm opening my gas cap, selecting the grade, more honking, and I begin fueling. Look at the driver's palms upward. What? That's my spot. I was here first. Well, you left. I was turning around. My gas cap is on the other side. The screeching lady screams, "He's a jerk." So I looked at her and said, "Well, you're a witch." She didn't want any more of this, went back to her car, and drove off in a huff. The Jeep guy honks again, and the attendant is taking notice. I walk to his front tire. What? You stole my spot. I had to turn around because I didn't know my gas cap was on this side. I told him you left. I was next. Look at your gas gauge. See the picture of the pump? There is an arrow pointing to the left or the right. I'll bet my next paycheck that is pointing to the driver's side. If you don't know which side your gas cap is on, when it's staring you in the face, much less your own car, I can't help you. And after I said that, he doesn't want to look at me. Station attendant approached and asked if there was a problem. I said I don't have a problem. He looked at the Jeep guy, still wouldn't look at us, and he just waved his hand like shooing a fly. My bump stopped. Full. I returned the bump, got in my car and drove off. Never did I raise my voice. So I returned the bump, got in my car and drove off. Never did I raise my voice. Am I in the wrong for stealing his spot in a gas line? Nah, you're not in the wrong. They can't leave the line while a place is busy and expect everyone to wait just to make sure they are done. It's like being in line at a grocery store and then having to leave because you forgot the milk. Nobody's going to save your spot. You just go to the back of the line and wait again. Why couldn't he just pull the bump handle over to the other side? Was his vehicle really wide? Where I live, it's possible to fill from either side because the bumps have really long hoses. I'm 25 and have been dating my girlfriend 23 for about 9 months now. When she turned 21, her parents gave her a car. She decided to name it Angie. I learned all this on our first date, when she said Angie took me here. I thought that was odd, but let it slide. Throughout our relationship, she's always talked about her car as if she's talking about another person. When she got a flat tire on the highway a few months back, she called me and said that Angie's shoes broke and has to get a new one. When she goes to the car wash, she describes it as giving Angie a bath. This all came to a head this weekend, when me and my friends went out drinking, and my girlfriend offered to be the designated driver. We were out for a couple of hours and I admittedly got a bit too drunk. When my girlfriend came to pick us up, she said she's stopping at the gas station first to get Angie something to drink. This is where I may be the jerk. I had told her I think it's weird and embarrassing of her to talk about her car like that. It's a machine, not a pet or a kid. And that she should treat it like how a normal person would treat any machine. She got very quiet and refused to say anything for the rest of the drive home. She dropped off my friends and then drove to my apartment. I asked her why we weren't going back to hers, and she said she needed some time to think and told me to get out. She's been radio silent since then, and I'm starting to think that I did something wrong. Am I in the wrong for what I said? Well, I asked Sasha since she's my car and would have a better perspective on this. She said you're in the wrong. Sasha also said cars need gas because they are hungry, not thirsty. She thought it was important for everyone to know. Wow. I told her about all of the cars, trucks, SUVs, RVs, hybrids, scooters, vans, and a few laptops that responded, and I think it made her blush because she's looking a little more shiny than usual. There are always people who treat their environment differently to you. Either respect them and leave them to their perfectly acceptable choices, or shut the hell up. Everyone has quirks. And part of being in a relationship is accepting and even loving those odd little behaviors and foibles. Trying to embarrass someone, anyone in front of our friends is something no one should consider acceptable, however. It's just bullying, and it tells me she's definitely better off without you. If one of my friends did something like that to someone, I'd consider our relationship too. Being drunk is no excuse. Get a handle on yourself and apologize to her and Angie as publicly as you called her out. It doesn't mean she'll forgive you, but you might have some hope of becoming a decent human being. Yes, we cried when our first little Van died. We still have his number plate on the wall. It's natural human behavior to anthropomorphize the objects we form a relationship with. A bad workman blames his tools. A good workman names them. You are in the wrong. You threw away a keeper. She had no issues with you going out with friends to get plastered. Even rolled your drunk self home. Had to wake Angie up to go along. Yup, you are in the wrong. Update. Well, she dumped me. She found the post, called me and told me never to speak to her again. I guess it's for the best though. We really wouldn't have been that compatible as many of you have said. Thank you all for your judgments. I live in a small foresty New England town. Our residential roads are overly narrow in some places. Pair this with blind curves and hills, it's honestly scary to drive sometimes. My soulmates and I would regularly vent to each other about landscapers parking on the road, entirely blocking the already tight lanes. It drives us crazy and feels like playing Russian roulette every time you're forced into the oncoming traffic lane. Will there be another car there? Have they slowed down? Who knows? Just hope for the best. Some people aren't so lucky. During the landscaping months, there is regularly head-on collisions. Almost all of them involve a vehicle blocking the road. They are typically slow-speed crashes. Thankfully, people do tend to slow down even if it isn't their lane being cut off. I was chatting with a local police officer, and I brought up why the landscapers are allowed to park like that, especially since we have so many accidents. He immediately told me that it's illegal. They don't have permission and do get ticketed if a patrol spots them. It was suggested that if I can, report it. So I have been, often. Funnily enough, it has been working. At least on the stretch I drive regularly. On 2 occasions I passed in the opposite direction coming back from errands to witness a police response with my own eye. Bonus. Was another officer there to wave people through safely while I was being dealt with. Yay, I didn't feel like I might die. Yesterday I overheard the lady in a grocery store complaining about being given a talking from the police for having the landscapers park on the road instead of her driveway. She and the other women with her felt that it was an overstep of policing and that they shouldn't have their driveway blocked the whole time the landscapers are at their houses. It should be noted that every single house on this road has a long driveway. Most are at least 50 feet to the garage if you can even see the house from the road. These are in buildings right on the curb with room only for a single car. I thought it was awfully selfish of them to think that way, and weird to discuss in public like that, so I brought it up during a family video call that night. My parents and a cousin with similar roads agreed with me, but my city/suburb dwelling relatives got mad. They said I was punishing the poor working folk, and if I must stick my nose in their business, I should be going to the homeowner or workers to ask them to move instead of the nuclear option. I feel that is a wildly bad idea. I already know the opinion of at least some of the homeowners. Heck, I might have the police called on me for trespassing. Am I in a wrong? It's been far more pleasant the past few weeks, and the only accident publicly reported was from hitting a deer. I think the enforcement is making some of the companies hesitate to park so recklessly. A good thing in my opinion. Maybe I'm a jerk for calling the police though? And now some comments. Not in the wrong. Quote, he immediately told me that it's illegal. It is illegal. Another quote. They shouldn't have their driveway blocked the whole time the landscapers are at their houses. Why not? They want the work done, so they need to provide a place to accommodate the workers' equipment. Makes enough sense to me. Punishing the poor working folk. No one's desire to earn a buck nor park more conveniently for their own needs empowers them to put others in danger. You're not in the wrong. You're saving lives. They are not poor working folk. They are, as you said, selfish rich people with lovely long nicely landscaped driveways that can bear the thought of accepting the consequences of their own actions. Not in the wrong. It's annoying and is dangerous, but the fault is that of the grocery store lady and her ilk. not the working folk. So I can see your relative's points.